Well, hi, good morning. Thanks so much for joining me here in my shop on February 22nd, a day that's promising a lot of rain here today. Rain just a little above freezing. So that's what's happening outside. Inside, here in my shop, I'm starting on this fantastic looking Nordmende Caruso console. It's in fantastic shape. The cabinet looks almost like it did the day it came out of the factory. It's fantastic. But whether it works or not, that's another question. So just before I get going, if this is maybe the first time you've watched one of my videos, let me just tell you a little bit about what's going to happen. I essentially do these live, although I am recording them and putting the recordings on YouTube. Live in the sense that I do very, very little editing. Just some transitions between shots. I do a little editing on that. Not much else. So everything that happens in here, the good, the bad, the ugly, all go on video. And that gives you a chance to see exactly what it is that I'm doing. Now, you know, I'm not necessarily the best at this, that's for sure. I have a lot of experience. But I make lots of mistakes, or I get caught up in things I shouldn't get caught up in, and the like. Another thing I do, which I think everybody does, is I misspeak at times. I mean to say red, and the word blue will come out of my mouth, and I won't even know that's happened, and there's no one here to stop and correct me. So it's up to you to listen to what I say, apply grains of salt when appropriate, and otherwise just enjoy the whole process of going through something like this. Now this is the first day, so I'm anxious to do a couple of things. One is to look this over very carefully and see if there's anything seriously going on with it, which is highly unlikely, and also to try to operate it and find out what condition it's in. Now the owners of this have told me that it really hasn't been operated in a long time. The last time it was plugged in, it sort of worked. And that's what I got to go on. So let's take a little look at it here. Surprise! There's a record player inside. Now, almost certainly this is not the original record player, and I can say that because of this black wooden base which is sitting here that the record player is in. The record player suits the base, but the rest of it doesn't actually fit. That's a replacement record player. Not the greatest record player, but far from the worst going. So that'll be my focus today, is to get this out and up on my bench and ready for some regular maintenance. But before doing that, I do want to inspect this fairly carefully, and that's what I'm doing right now. So I mean, I can see that there's a needle, so it's got to be a cartridge. Does it work? We're going to find out maybe in a few minutes. And if we take a little bit of a closer look at the radio itself, you can see it's got a broadcast band, it's got a shortwave band, and another shortwave band, and an FM band. The FM goes from, this would be 88 to 108. That's a North American frequency range for FM. That's different in Europe. In Europe it's not as big, at least it wasn't back in the day. I don't know about now. Something I noticed right away is that this is green. You can probably see that in the camera. The green, there's some green in here, there's a little bit of green here. So there's some kind of corrosion going on the back of this glass that's affecting this area. This is the, pretty sure this will be the volume. And this may not be a real knob here. Oh. Okay, something happened. Just looking to see if it's an antenna turner. It's not. It says right here, stereo balance and volume. Stereo balance. Stereo. There's a magic eye right here, which is an interesting feature. Hopefully that works. We'll find out. It actually has civil defense frequency markers on it, which is very surprising. This was built in Germany, for export to the United States and Canada. And in the United States at this time, they had set up a civil defense system, mostly a nuclear attack warning system. And part of the instructions for people in the United States was to tune their radios to where these civil defense markers are. And then they could hear information from the authorities on what to do. Like, if you put your head between your legs, kiss your ass goodbye. That's kind of what the instructions would be, more or less. Now let's turn this here and see what happens. So some of these receivers have two tuning knobs. This is all one tuning knob. Where is the pointer? There's the pointer there. A little hard to see with the light's on, but I don't see it down here. It just says tuning. Now it's possible I have to push this FM button to activate the tuning down here. Let's just try it. So this has stopped moving, the pointer up here. There it is, very hard to see, right here. So I know now that there's a clutch or gearing system that will throw the tuning control from the upper dial to the lower dial. The advantage of that is you can tune in your favorite FM station and leave it. You can go wander around the shortwave bands, and as soon as you push FM again, you're back on your favorite FM station. Fantastic. So lots of buttons along here. Let's just go through them. So there's a stereo button here. Now, my understanding about this unit is when it comes to stereo, it's really talking about the record player. The FM receiver is not stereo. It doesn't have that capability. Bass. So a lot of European style radios like to have switches controlling various combinations of bass settings. Why? Why not just a tone knob? And speaking of a tone knob, here we have one here. Can you see this on the camera? You cannot, it's too far away. But it's moving a symbol up and down here to indicate where you've set the treble. Alto. Alto is bass. Alto. Over here is the treble. I think this is green. It's very hard for me to see. Two going up and down. Red over here. Green over here. Okay, so why have the bass control and a bass switch? I'm not exactly sure. This is the off button. A lot of these receivers, the on-off button breaks on them for various reasons. Phono, broadcast, shortwave 1, shortwave 2, FM, treble, presence, brilliance. They just love the buttons for adjusting tone. Oh, how do you like that? Okay, just discovered that this comes off. Where did this come from exactly? So is it sitting on here? I don't think so. Where did this come from? It just fell into view. I don't even know where this came from just now. I wasn't exactly looking at it. I think it's just here. Yeah, I think it's probably just here like that. Hey, first repair done. Fantastic. So this is very typical of Nordmende receivers and European style or German style receivers in general. Let's take a look at the record player now. See what we can see here. I think I'm just going to change my camera a little bit here. Okay, let's carry on, but I'll use this handheld camera. We'll take a closer look at a few of these things here. So now you can see the green color from here. Wild guess? How come here and nowhere else? No wild guess. I have no valid wild guess on that. If we look here at this, and I turn the control here, You see the red come up? Still a little hard to see. Maybe when the lights are on, this stuff will be easier to see. Okay, magic eye indicator. And away we go, down into the record player here. So this is kind of a middling record player. Let's just look at the back of the tone arm. What I'm looking for back there is a counter, an adjustable counterbalance. Let's see what we can see. Can't really tell in the dark. Not to worry too much about it. We've got 4 speeds here. And a manual size selector for the record size. You can see the needle that's flipped to, can you read it? 78 right now. So it has a 78 needle showing. This has a little arm sticking out here so you can grab it. That's kind of neat. And it's locked in. So it shouldn't fall around. Okay, I think it's trying to operate. It should turn itself off. I think that's what just happened. Bladder turns very freely, which is excellent. So the overarm is not bent. Good. Okay, that's very good. Just in the cabinet here we have a, what do we got here? So this is a magnetic grip, or some kind of grip. To grip the door, and we have a light. We have a light built in here. Very cool. Not sure that switch is working. Kind of an odd kind of bulb in it. Here's a good spot to put your 18 of your favorite records, but they would have to be 10-inch records. I don't think you could put a 33 1/3, LP into here, but certainly your 45s, 10-inch, your 78s, your favorites could go in there. Might be better to leave them in the cover than to do that. So you can see the arm here is all in great shape. There's nothing ready to fall apart. Nothing up at the top. Very good. Now let's see if my camera can make it all the way around to the back. I'm going to have to spin this around here. Let's just see. It's bound to be a little dark in the back. We'll see what we can see now. There we go. Okay, it is a little dark. It's not bad in the camera though. So, a bit of a long shot. That's your typical looking German style or built receiver. Got these 2 big tubes right here. One tube for each channel. And I've already examined the schematic a little bit, so to make myself aware of a few things like that. So it does definitely have 2 channel output. This is the phono plug here, which I had to pull out to get the back off so we could see inside. Oh, that's interesting. Those resistors look pretty new, don't they? But look at the capacitors up here. Again, it's in the dark, so we can't see it too clearly, but it's full of pretty sick looking capacitors, and I mean that sick as in ill. These are the wires going down to the speakers below, 2 sets of speakers. We'll take a look at those in a moment. Okay, so these stickers here that fell off. So this is a paint color chip from somebody doing painting. It somehow is in the back of this radio. So something got painted that color. I didn't see any paint spots on this. And this, what is this? This is made in Great Britain. What? Oh, BSR. It says BSR right there. So this is the sticker from the original record player, which I believe has been replaced, but somehow this stayed behind. Okay, not much consequence there. Let's go down and look at the speakers. Now this isn't a huge console, and I can't see what I'm seeing here, so you can still see in the camera. It's a mid-range or tweeter on the sides and the woofer in the front. Not the largest speakers going. Permanent magnet speakers. Now these ones, I think they're also permanent magnet speakers. In a radio like this, sometimes the tweeters are electrostatic, and you need to be aware of that. These look like regular tweeters. You can see a capacitor there looking not so good. That'd be part of the crossover, trying to prevent low frequencies from wasting their time with this little speaker. So the low frequency power can go to the bigger speaker. So we have a left and a right. Actually, it's the other way around. And then these ones are on the side, and on the side of the cabinet you can see side grills. These are actually tilted upwards just a wee bit. And that's a little bit unfortunate in a way, because the treble is somewhat directional and projects out. The bass kind of fills the room from any direction. You'd almost be better with the bass on the side here. Of course, this is just the tweeter treble, supposedly. We don't know. And the bass is coming out here. This grill cloth is in great shape. I shouldn't say bass, I should just say lower notes, I think, for this. Okay, she's in lovely, lovely condition here. Well, I think it's time to try operating it, so I got to get a little bit set up for that. And we're going to plug this guy in and see where the smoke comes out. Maybe just before I turn this on, I should really take a look at the information that's available on the back. Now this is the lower back. There's nothing written on it. This is covering the area that the speakers were in. This is the back for the actual receiver. There's tons of stuff written on it here. Let's start up over here. Up here it says FM outdoor dipole on all wave bands. Position 1. Position 2. FM outdoor dipole separated from aerial. And then here's a window, right? And it's given different diagrams where the dipole goes for FM. And then you have the antenna in the ground. Down here is instructions on the voltage selector in case you're somewhere where the voltage is 220. It's nowhere in North America. Canada and the US both run 110 or 115 or 117 or whatever it might be. So this was built in Germany, but built for export, so it's only got these two options. You couldn't plug this in Germany. Everything's in English too, including the schematic. Thank you for that. That's really made me happy, in fact. Caruso C. For AC 50-60 cycles only. Power consumption 60 watts. Pull out electric plug before removing back cover. Keep dry. Really? Is there a problem in Europe with these things getting wet? What's this? Keep dry. Nordmende, made in West Germany, for connection 110 or 220. And so that has a bearing on what fuse you put in it. Please indicate those numbers in any of your inquiries. So this is another window. This one's plastic, covered. Excuse me. And this is where you look through to get the model number and serial number for the particular unit you've got, in case you need to write to Nordmende and say, I need a part. There's the tube layout showing all the different tubes. EL84 output tube. EM84 for the magic eye or signal strength indicator. And these are all typical tubes. ECC 85, I find that often, this is the FM tube. This tube is in trouble. I often find that. Okay, if connected to 1 and 2, what are they talking about? Speakers inside and outside operating. If connected to 1 and 2. Is this 1, 2? This might be 1, maybe this is 2. No, right and left. What are they talking about here? Oh, 1, 2, and 3. I'm not quite sure what they're talking about yet, but I guess we'll sort this out as we go along. Tape recorder and playback. Tape recorder and playback. Now it's got European style plugs and sockets here, which aren't very common in North America. So you may have noticed the phono one is that style. But then we have the right and the left. 4.5 ohms. And I think that's it for information on the back. It's just good to read these things over. Sometimes there's some important information. All very typical. Okay, let's go back. Take a look at the unit we're going to plug in. Now, I'm not plugging this right in the wall. That would not be the wisest thing to do. Instead, I have a power system where I can limit the amount of power going to something like this. And I'll show it to you. It's a pretty simple thing. Here, I'm just going to flip cameras again because it's visible over here. So, a little bit of overkill. So first of all, I have one of these wonderful devices where you can dial up the amount of voltage you want to apply to things just by turning this knob. I'm leaving it up around 120. Got a lot of meter switches here to make the meter do different things, but right now it's just showing the voltage that's going out. It's going out on here. You notice I have a 3-prong plug in here, but don't be fooled. This guy himself is not plugged into a 3-prong socket. He's plugged into another isolation transformer. So one of the purposes of this is to provide isolation, but I've gone a step further. I have even isolated this guy. So although it has a ground prong, the ground prong is doing nothing and going nowhere, and you'll see in a moment that that's really true. But I don't use this nearly as much as I use these 2 light bulbs here. These 2 light bulbs. Both screwed in. So the idea of these light bulbs is the power that's going to go to that receiver when I turn it on is going to be fed through these light bulbs on the way there. Going through the light bulbs. The more power that thing draws, the brighter these bulbs get. The brighter these bulbs get, the more voltage they're dropping, the less voltage is left for the radio and receiver. Small radios, I just have 1 light bulb in. Big radios like this one, I'll put both light bulbs in. What this does is, if there's a really serious problem in the receiver, like a shorted power transformer or something like that, or short just beyond the power transformer, these lights will come on really bright. And they're right here on my bench, hitting me in the face, so they will warn me immediately that that is happening, and I can just cut the power. And the alternative is to slowly bring the power up with this guy and monitor the amount of power being drawn. That's not nearly as exciting as these light bulbs. So this is commonly called a dim bulb system. Look how simple it is. It's just an old fixture I grabbed, and it's just old stuff. It's nothing special about it. I have a tremendously complex control panel right here we're looking at now. 2 switches on it. This one just turns the power on generally, and this one selects whether the power will go through those lights, or if I flip it up, bypass those lights. Now listen to the sound here. I'm just going to turn this one. Hear that sound? So there'll be times where you're going to hear me throw these switches. They sound like that. If I put this off, I can throw this one. They sound like that. That's the sound of the switches being thrown. So keep that in mind. Yes, I have a ELFR eliminator on here. Wow. Type that into the internet and read up on what this is. I took this off somebody's piece of equipment, and I have a couple of friends up here. Yes, and I also have a warning. Watch out. And I have my name on there just in case I forget who I am, because that can happen. That can happen. Okay. Let's go back now. Oh no, let's keep going with this camera. So the power from there arrives here in this extension cord, which I used to just use like that, extension cord. The gray plug goes back to this meter here. A friend of mine built this meter for me and I still use it. Notice the scale starts at 100. Doesn't start at 0. Sometimes you can see that meter going up and down in the background, gives you an idea of what kind of voltage is out here. But I actually have something far better for that. I have one of these guys plugged into it. And this will tell me a lot of information. This will tell me voltage at the plug. So I know what voltage I'm running the project at. And it tells me, you can see, amp, volt, watts. What's that last one? Hertz. Volt-amps, oops, I can't point with that. Kilowatt hours, you know what? I've never noticed that last button, the colored one. Kilowatt hours. Huh. Didn't even know that. This is a real handy thing for around the house. You ever want to know what your vacuum cleaner really draws for power? You plug it into this, turn your vacuum on, and read the dial. Very handy in my shop. So that's what we're going to be plugging into. Now again, you see that there's 3 prongs here, but there's only... the third prong is not even plugging into anything. So the idea of this is that I don't want the projects I'm working on powered by electricity which has a relationship to Earth. That's about the best way to put it. Let's just say it reduces the shock hazard a little bit for me. Not entirely, that's for sure. Just in case you're curious, that's my sound control for making these videos. Yeah, I actually have 4 microphones going in here right now. Okay, now let's take a look at the plug. Here's the plug. It's got to be the original plug. Looking for wear right up in here. No, it's all in good shape. It's nice and flexible. It's in good shape, but notice it's not polarized. This is probably not a significant thing in this kind of radio, but in some radios, the old radios, none of them were polarized because that system didn't exist. And in some cases, it makes a difference whether you plug it in this way or that way. But I'm not going to go into that. It's not relevant to this particular receiver. Well, that was not good. That was my other camera biting the dirt there. Uh-oh. So I'm going to stop a bit and see if I just destroyed one of my cameras. That was unfortunate. You see, everything that happens goes on video here. Okay, well that's too bad what happened there, but the camera survived that fall mostly. In fact, you're looking through it. This image is through the camera I just dropped. And those are the 2 light bulbs. So we're going to keep an eye on them because they're up in the top left corner now. And we're ready to apply power. So first I want to make sure it's off. I want to check to make sure off is off. And I'm going to throw the switches here and it's going to put power to the unit through those bulbs. Well, that's interesting now. This light's come on. Oh, look at that. I got it. It's automatic. It's off. And it's on. Excellent. That's a really nice feature. This light under here is a really nice feature. Okay, that's good. Step 1. Okay, step 2, we're going to cut. I'm not through wrecking this camera, apparently. Okay, got my hand caught on the wire. Okay, everything's good. It's a little dark in my shop here. I see how that happened. that happen again. Oh, I probably will. So next step, we'll turn off the power. Turn on the receiver to the broadcast band. Okay, so the button's not holding down. Well, we'll try another. We'll try shortwave 1. I just want the AM part of the radio operating. The reason for that is it's most likely to make a nice hissy sound. We'd want the volume up a little bit. Stereo balance. Don't quite get what's going on there, only a quarter turn. We'll stick it in the middle for whatever it's worth. And we'll just make a note of where we're tuned. Where are we tuned here? Okay, so we're tuned on band 1, 3 megahertz. What's at 3 megahertz? A lot of noise. Noise and interference and not much else. Okay, I think we're almost set now. So when I turn the power on, it's going to go through the light bulbs, which you see in the top left corner. And we'll take it from there. Here we go. Okay, so they've come on very bright at first, but dulled down right away. That's a very good sign. Now they should start getting brighter again, getting a little duller. Okay, so what happens is the supply voltage to the receiver is very low now. In fact, I can look and see it's 87 volts. It takes a long time for tubes to heat up and start to conduct, but as they start to conduct, these two lights, hey, listen to that. Okay, since it's operating to some degree, we're going to leave it like this with only 78 volts. Wow, that's extremely low. But let's leave it like that for now, because we don't know what's going to happen for sure. Tune a little bit. That's exactly what I would expect. So when this is pointing up, I can tell both speakers down there are operating, and when I go this way, just one over here is operating. The sound is quite different. Sounds like the bass is missing. Don't know what that's all about. So at this point, what I'm interested in is just making as many observations as possible. Not much more. Very good. Now this is supposed to draw 60 watts. It's drawing 30 watts right now, but that's because it's on low voltage. Well, that's good. That sounds good to me. If it was drawing 100 watts right now, we'd be in some kind of trouble. So I can see this is not lighting, but the low voltage may be why this isn't lit up. Okay, we'll fool around with a little bit of tone. I can hear that. I can hear the bass here. Not bad at all. Presence. No difference. Brilliance. You can hear a little pick up in the treble. Bass. Okay, more bass came in for sure. Stereo. Shouldn't really do anything unless, I guess you'd have to flip this to stereo to get a record to play in stereo there. Okay, let's try another band. We'll try Shortwave 2. Well, it's a little surprising that Shortwave 1 makes sound and Shortwave 2 doesn't do anything. That's right up full. So one of the problems with these kinds of receivers are these actual buttons, making contact, not making contact. And that could be part of the problem here. Turn this down. I'm going to try broadcast again. Does not want to lock. So I'm going to hold it down. Oh, it stayed down, but notice the sound went away. There we go. Perfect. Now we'll tune the... that's good. It sounds like it should. We'll get some stations down in this area here. Pointers here. It's receiving well. Right here. So I'm not sure at this point what antenna is doing this. Sometimes these radios have a loop antenna, a stick antenna in them. Other times they're looking for a wire. But this is the strongest station. This is 590. It's rated 590 here. So surprisingly enough, it's working to some degree. Fantastic. Okay, now we're going to try FM. What happens on FM? Now, the FM dipole antenna that's built into this is plugged in the back. Where's the pointer? There's one light here. There's probably another light located here that's not on. So it's receiving, but it's very distorted, and the volume is up full to make this operate. It must be at the end here. Does that run out? Yeah, I can see it now. It's very hard to see the pointer. Okay. Now we're going to try the record player. And I think I only have one record in here. To play. One of my favorite albums, Atomic Rooster. Here. So. Now I noticed the needle was set to 78, so I'm going to flip it around. Oh, son of a gun. Okay, so it's set for micro groove. The 78 needle is much larger and will actually skim across the record like this. Okay, we're set to speed is 33. This is actually not the size. Oh, here's a size control up here, way up here. Very hard to see where it's set. Let me make sure it's set. Very interesting. It's very hard to see. This record player is not designed to be tucked up in a box like this. It's really meant to be out where you can see it. You look down and there's a little window with the record size, and as you move the lever, the words in the window change, or the numbers in the window change. So it's set to 12 now. I'm going to loosen this up. Funny there. Okay, what happens when we try to, first we'll go manual here, just move it to start. Okay, record player's turning. Looks slow, slow, slow to me. We'll change the speed. That's supposed to be 45, it looks more like 33. Get down to 16. How come this just dropped? The lock here popped open. How'd that happen? That's 33, looks slow. It just looks like the speeds are off, but we'll put it on 33 and we'll hear what this sounds like. I'm very familiar with this record, so one of the problems I have in making these videos is avoiding copyright hits. So I cannot let music like a copyrighted record like this play for more than about 6 to 8 seconds. That's enough to hear it. This is barely turning here. So I'm going to check the traction just by putting drag on it. Look, it stopped completely. So we have some traction problems in here, not a surprise. I don't think this is going to work well at all. I'm going to put it on 45 because it looks like it's closer to 33. Here we go. So I'm watching the platter speed very carefully. Whoops. Okay, turn it up. The record's barely turning. I'm just interested now, does it make sound? Come on. Okay, it started now. This is full volume. So what I'm hearing the actual needle in the record. I'm not hearing anything come out of the speakers. Oh yeah, I still got it on FM up here. That's what I've done. Okay, put this on the phono. Actually, it works now. Don't have to worry about a copyright hit at this speed. Balanced. Very odd. Okay, pick it up. Well, the good news is it's working. I'm going to put this on the top speed. I'm going to do the reject thing again. This time it should actually turn itself off. It should not play the record. The top speed's not much of a top. I can see the platter slow down as it labors under operating the mechanics in the back. But it's turned itself off, which is also a good sign. Let me turn it back on just on manual. And let's hear the record play a little bit. More normal speed. Okay, it actually sounds pretty good, even though it's slow. Okay, we will flip it off. Oh, it's like, did the light just come on? Am I seeing things? Oh no. Oh no, the light is dull. Off. Oh, I still have the dim bulbs in the circuit. Okay, the whole thing was false. I'm running this on way too low of a voltage. So let me turn this on to full power now. I still have special protection fuses and stuff in the circuit. Here we go. Okay, how much you want to bet this plays the right speed now? Go down to 33. I'm going to let it drop the record again. Okay, this will work a lot better this time. 33, here we go. Oh no. There we go. So the phono button actually controls the motor too. Now it's turning at the right speed. It's going too fast. Maybe not. Okay, some hisses showing up. Not sure where hisses come from. Let's go back to radio again. Go back to shortwave 2, which didn't work before. Now I believe in doing that I've cut the power here. Let's see. No. Now the traction's good on this. Actually not in bad shape. The record player is not in bad shape. What do we get on shortwave 2? Now we hear something. We're not likely to pick anything up. So there's really no antenna. Let's see, we would pick up on shortwave 2. We might pick stuff up in this area here. The pointer's right here. And interference. Nothing without an antenna. Let's go back to the broadcast band because I'm concerned now. I did all that testing with a very low supply voltage. The actual supply voltage now is 108 volts, which is good enough. Go back to broadcast. There we go. Oop, I don't think it stayed. So it's working, but working weakly. And really, we need to test FM. Betcha FM is all cleared up now. Did I put money down on that? Worked before. A little bit. So I'm going to reduce the supply voltage. I'm going to put the lights back in. Hear the volume drop off. Something right there. Another thing worth noting is there's no hum coming from this receiver. It's pretty good, but there's nothing coming from it now. Maybe I drained the last bit of life out of it by raising the voltage up. What happened there? Touch this knob and away it went. Don't know why that was. back on the low voltage, and this band, Shortwave 2, didn't do anything on low voltage. We'll go back up onto full voltage again. So notice how long it took. Oh, it's going. So when this snapped off to the stop position, the clamp here closed on the tone arm.
Not sitting around praying for an elaborate anything. I'm not saying you can't work hard and have those things. That's fine. I don't think that this text is teaching us to pray for those type of things. I think it's talking about provisions, what we need. Basics. I've heard preachers say, ask what you will and it shall be given to you. When they're going on talking about
there's some dead spots on the volume control here. I just unluckily turned it to a dead spot. Maybe that's why I couldn't hear stuff. Okay, something just happened there. I think. Maybe not.
spiritual things that we ask God for.
Let's go back to broadcast. Tons of volume now. Tons of volume. Station should be right in here. So the Woodpecker Interference has returned to my shop. So this sound you're hearing, I have no idea where this comes from. It's a very powerful interference signal. Sounds like a woodpecker on high speed, and it kind of obliterates the broadcast band. So when I tune here, and the radio goes quiet, what it's really doing is it's picking up another interference signal, but there's no sound in that signal. It's just a carrier, if you like. So the radio picks it up. If it picks up a strong signal, radios automatically turn their volume down, and that's what this one's done, and that's why the ticking has become quieter. So that tells me the automatic volume control system in the radio is operating. Everything is largely operating in this unit. There's a little tiny bit of light on this. Let's just take a look at that a little closer. Just kill a few lights here. Okay. Now you can see the indicator here. It's just a dot in the middle. Oh, where'd everything go? So I really think we're suffering from bad button contacts. I'm pretty sure this I doesn't work. Let's go back to FM. I can't see what I'm doing. FM.
Glasses. How many of the other characters in the series are from real life? I want third grade picture.
Excellent. Okay, let's switch it off. 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 Off and dark. Okay, Well, that's great. So that investigation is very important. It gives me a lot of clues about the condition of the radio, what needs attention, and what may not need attention. I think the whole thing needs a bit of attention, actually. So the main thing are these buttons are intermittent. It could be a lot of the bad operation of the radio is just because these buttons are not making proper contact. The record player, when I was looking at it last night, I brought it in here and got everything ready for today. I looked up underneath, because you can look up underneath, and it looked to me like it's fairly well lubricated, but I can't be absolutely sure. So next step is the record player comes out, get it set up on my bench, and we check this guy out pretty thoroughly. But all in all, surprisingly good operation for something that's been sitting idle, apparently, for years and years. Great. Okay, ready to take out the record player. I've undone the wires underneath, and there are two clips that had to be worked to release the record player. Record player is floating on springs, so it's not clamped down 100%. Up it comes. It's that easy. Out we come. Okay, and stick it up on here. Excellent. There it is. So I think I'm going to call it quits here at this point. Done about an hour's worth of stuff here, and carry on tomorrow focused on that record player. We'll get that in ship shape, and then we'll turn our attention back to the receiver and see what needs to be done about that. So thanks a lot for watching to this point, and see you tomorrow.